about to enter the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And I've got a pretty good climb ahead of me this morning, similar to the one I had coming out of the NOC a couple days ago. About a 3,000 foot climb. The dam itself that I just crossed, the Fontana Dam, is almost 1,700 foot in elevation, and before today's over I will have crossed 5,000 foot. Right through there, I believe that's the fire tower on top of Shuckstack. If so, I'll be there in another 1.3 miles. That's something else. Reaching the top of Shuckstack at 3,993 feet. And this is the fire tower. Here's a view from the Shuckstack fire tower. And to get up here, it's a short side trail off the AT. It's pretty nice up here. Just hike past the side trail that takes you to the Birch Spring tent site, and I believe that's the only official tent site inside the Smokies. Everything else ahead of this point is our shelters. Just walked over the top of the Devil's Tater Patch at 4,760 feet. Passing through Big Abrams Gap. Starting my last big climb for today. That'll put me just over 5,000 feet. And once I hit that point, I'll drop down a little less than 200 feet to the Spence Field shelter. And that's where I'm gonna call it a day. hiking down this side trail towards the shelter, and this is beautiful. This is amazing through here. Back on the trail this morning, just left the Spence Field shelter and had a thunderstorm come through. I think it was a little before 5 this morning, and man, was it quite a light show. Just thundered and lightning for about 15-20 minutes, then it just started pouring rain for about an hour. It's kind of cool. And now it's foggy out, or I guess smoky. Today I've got 3 summits, all of them above 5,000 feet, so that's going to be nice. And I'll do a total of 13.5 miles today to the Double Spring shelter. And yesterday was a good day for mileage. I did I think it was almost 18 miles. Now this is the Smoky Mountains. You'd never realize it, but I'm at the top of my first summit. This is Rocky Top at 5,422 feet. Passing over the top of Thunderhead Mountain. That's a cool name, Thunderhead. And that was at 5,520 feet. I'm walking into Sugar Tree Gap. Stop here for a few minutes and have a break. The sun is out, and I have completed my third and final summit for today. This is Seiler's Bald at 5,587 feet, and about 100 miles back there was another Seiler's Bald. This is a different one. I'm still on Seiler's Bald, and I just realized that on the top of that mountain is Clingman's Dome. That is the highest point on the AT, and I'll be up there tomorrow.
it's starting to make a little bit more sense.
That was so exciting.
That was exciting.
My adrenaline was pumping. Woo!
About 2 miles from Clingman's Dome. Left camp about 10-15 minutes ago. And really liking the change in scenery. First noticed it just before I got to the Double Spring shelter yesterday, that the trees changed from mostly deciduous to these evergreen spruce fir trees. I like it. Nice smell. Looks like it's going to be a nice morning for Clingman's Dome. There's the dome. And I am going up. Amazing. We're at the top of Clingman's Dome at 6,612 feet, highest point on the AT. So nice. Guess it's all downhill from here, right? Trail's been following alongside Clingman's Dome Road about the last mile or so. Right now I'm heading towards the top of Mount Collins, about another half a mile in front of me. I'm at the top of Mount Collins at 6,155 feet. That's Indian Grave Gap behind me. And 1.6 miles ahead is Newfound Gap. And once I get there, I'm going to catch a ride into Gatlinburg, spend the night, do a zero tomorrow, resupply, and eat. Getting back on the trail here at Newfound Gap. Had a nice time in Gatlinburg. Good, relaxing 0 day. And resupplied. I think this is the first time I actually had close to an empty food bag when I got into town to do a resupply. I think maybe I had one Pop-Tart left, a Slim Jim, and that was about it. But I got a full food bag now, and I'm ready to get back at it. I'm only a mile and a half from Newfound Gap and already getting some nice views to look at. Short side trail to Charlie's Bunion at 5,463 feet, and it's just up ahead. Hey, how's it going?
Good. Just walked over the top of Laurel Top at 5,767 feet, and not much to see up there. It's a tree covered top. Still cool. I really like hiking along these ridge lines. Got a view of the mountains on your right. And a view on your left. It's been cold and very windy all day today. I haven't taken my jacket off once. I like it. So far today I've done 14.6 miles, and the next shelter is the Tri-Corner Knob shelter, half a mile up the trail. So I'm going to stay there tonight. I want to go ahead and get in, get all my stuff set up, eat, and get in my sleeping bag, because current weather report is showing that it's going to be 30 degrees tonight. And since that shelter is almost at 6,000 feet, might even be a little colder than that. So I guess it's going to be an interesting night. Left Tri-Corner Knob shelter a few minutes ago. The freezing Tri-Corner Knob shelter. It got cold last night, and still cold this morning. There's frost out on the trees, a little bit on the ground. It's really nice looking. But in the shelter, I stayed in it last night and with probably about 18, 19 other people, and the shelter's made to hold 12. But when I got there, it was just me and I think 6 other people, and then a lot of other people started rolling in after that. And I don't think a lot of people realized how cold it was going to get. But we made do. Everybody fit in, whether they were sleeping on the floor or hanging from their hammocks from the poles on the inside. That sunshine feels good. That is beautiful. This clearing is an old helicopter launch pad. I'm going to use it as a place to stop for a few minutes and absorb some sun. I stopped for a break a few minutes ago, sat down, pulled out my food bag and opened it up, and realized that a lot of the food I have in there is nearly frozen. That's never happened to me before. But I can tell you it made eating a Cliff Bar a little difficult. It's turning out to be a pretty nice day. Probably waking up to trees covered with ice and frost, and you might not think that would be the case. But it is. I'm heading towards Davenport Gap. It's half a mile up the trail, and that's where I'm gonna exit the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And I have really enjoyed the Smokies. The trail through here has been very nice with the views and Clingman's Dome and the summits that I did on some of the tops of the mountains. And I saw a couple deer and a bear. I really wanted to see the bear, and I saw him today. That was something else. I'm glad I got the chance to hike through the Smokies.